Hello everyone, welcome to this presentation. I am Srihari. We are here to discuss about GNS3, which is used for network simulations. To begin with the video, let us see our agenda for this tutorial. Here we are dividing video into 4 parts. So our agenda includes 4 parts in this video. In this, first is introduction to GNS3. This basically includes what GNS3 means and what are the softwares it runs on and the description of the software and what are the considerations that has to be taken so that user can easily execute the programs in GNS3 and the tool can be easily used. Next part is download and installation of GNS3. In this part, we will be locating the GNS3 software in the internet, and we will be going through different steps for installation, and we also will be discussing about different softwares in the process. And the third part is tool description. In this part, we learn about GNS3 software, how to use different tools and devices within it, and how to create different networks and topologies. The final part is example using GNS3 tool. As in the final part, let us see an example built using GNS3 tool. Now let us start with introduction to GNS3. To begin with this part, our basic question is what is GNS3? We might even not know what the acronym stands for. Well, the acronym stands for GNS3 stands for Graphical Network Simulator 3. It is a network software emulator which allows us to work with different combinations of virtual and real devices which are used to simulate complex networks. Virtual networks and topologies can also be built using this GNS3, which work just similarly as the real networks. And we can even build labs using different tools, which are basically devices ranging from simple workstations to powerful Cisco routers. This GNS3 uses Dynamics emulation software to simulate Cisco IOS software. First of all, what is this Dynamics emulation software? Well, Dynamics is a computer program written to simulate these Cisco routers on which the GNS runs on. It helps to run the protocols that are designed to run the routers in the real time. So this software helps us to simulate or emulate the real routers as a virtual routers in GNS3. I mentioned about Cisco IOS. What is this Cisco IOS software? IOS stands for Internet Operating System. This Cisco IOS software is a family of software used on mostly Cisco system routers and network switches. The software tells the routers how to work the different protocols and functionalities within the network. So using all these softwares, we can run any version of Cisco devices in GNS3. And we have to install the softwares along with GNS3, which we'll be seeing later in the coming steps. And we also need to download Cisco IOS images, which has to be imported and used in GNS3 for different projects. Before moving on, I want to tell a point here. In GNS3, as the name suggests, graphical network simulator, it is not a simulator, but actually it is an emulator. Well, what is the difference between emulator and simulator, and why we need to worry much about it at all? To understand correctly, simulator means it just simulates a program, which is not a real software running on a hardware using a computer program. But emulator, it exactly imitates an execution of a program or network operating system in this case. For example, a Cisco IOS software which runs on a local server on the current operating system. Local server in the sense, here my laptop is a local server and Windows is the operating system which is currently running on my local server. So in the emulator, we can actually import real Cisco IOS images that can run on real Cisco routers, and GNS3 also provides nice GUI to run these Cisco images. Well, that is the difference between emulator and simulator. So GNS3 is more of an emulator than a simulator. And this is all about introduction of GNS3. In the next parts, we'll see where to locate GNS3 and how to download and install examples, etc. And before going to next part, we need to talk a little about some considerations for Cisco iOS images and GNS3 so that it meets the needs of the user which is using the GNS3 for creating the topologies and networks. Uh, Why do we need these consideration at all? Well, these considerations helps us to select appropriate iOS image so that we can know what features of this image can be run on GNS3 and other memory requirements also can be known. Firstly, about Cisco platform considerations. As I said, along with GNS3, which comes in bundle with other software, which is good, we also need to download at least one Cisco iOS software image. We can directly download the Cisco iOS software image from Google search in the internet, and the order doesn't matter. We can first download the Cisco iOS image or GNS3 software. The order doesn't matter. Well, uh, selecting appropriate iOS image is really important. Why is it? Well, GNS3 it runs real softwares for routers and other devices. And if you know about Cisco, it has hundreds and hundreds of models of devices like routers and switches and all. There is no way GNS could emulate all of this. It only runs certain router platforms. So we need to know what are those iOS images that can be run on GNS3 software. Otherwise, we get errors and error messages for unsupported iOS images, and it is a waste of effort. Now, how to figure out what Cisco iOS software is supported by GNS3? To do so, uh, go to GNS3 website. So this is the GNS3 website, gns3.com, where which includes the free download and other documentation and other community blog spots where we can interact with others, and we can even learn about GNS3 here, and there is even options to log in and sign up. So now to see what all this Cisco iOS images that can be supported by GNS3, we need to go to documentation. In the documentation, we have to search adding iOS image. So here we can see all the iOS software series, all the series of routers are shown here, and the different versions can be seen here. C1700 series and all the versions, and it also says what is the minimum RAM required, which is the memory requirement, which we'll be discussing further. And we can see other versions also, other series of the routers, C2600 routers, 3 C3620 routers and all. And see, there are so many number of routers and versions of images. We can download any of these routers or iOS images, and all these images will be supporting in GNS3 software. Well, so our next consideration is feature set considerations. So we know that different images will be having different kind of features and functionalities to work with. So how to determine what feature set is appropriate for the software image, and for the features and protocols we want to practice in GNS3 software. And we can see these features in Cisco Feature Navigator. We have to just search for Cisco Feature Navigator and selecting this. This is a Cisco website which allows us to see different types of features and different types of devices released by Cisco. And here we go to research software. So this is the Cisco Feature Navigator which helps us to see all the features for the Cisco iOS image. Here we select iOS and platform because we are working on a platform, and we can select any router here. I'll be selecting C3725 because we'll be working on this router in the coming parts, and we can select any major release or release, and I hope this version of, yes, it is there, this version of router is present. So all this list what we are seeing here are the features supported by iOS image. We can see whatever feature we require for the working of iOS image in GNS3, and we can also see whether the feature we require to work on is present for that iOS image or not. Otherwise, it will be waste of an effort to simply download and import an iOS image which doesn't support the feature which we require. So see, there are plenty number of, as we see here, we can drag and see series of features. So these are all the features which are supported by this image. Okay, our next consideration is memory considerations. So uh, this Cisco IO software takes memory in the laptop just like another software, some other software, in the sense like a browser or a Microsoft Excel, which takes memory when we run in our laptop. And laptop also will be having a constrained memory. As we know, one image may require different amount of memory than other. We also need to allocate correct memory for the images or routers, which we'll see how to do it in the next part. On the other hand, we should not also give less memory to a router than what actually requires. This may otherwise cause to stop the router or create some error messages, or even it might not start also. And GNS3 asks while creating the project how much memory it has to be allocated to the router. So by default, it will be showing some amount of memory that has to be allocated to a router, but we have to set it to the proper required memory, and otherwise, as I said, it creates an error. But how to know which image needs this much of amount of memory, this amount of memory? So for this, this is the router we have searched before for the feature considerations. Here we can see the DRAM, how much RAM this router requires. So while usually by default it will be 128 while creating a project in the GNS3. So we have to change that default memory that has been allocated to 256. We'll be seeing this while creating the project in GNS3. Okay, this brings us to the end of the first part where we have seen the introduction to GNS3 and Cisco IO software, and also seen the considerations. Now moving to the next part, here we'll be seeing how to download and install the GNS3. Go to the GNS3 website, which is gns3.com. Here we'll be seeing the download documentation community and marketplace academy. Before going to download the software, it requires us to sign up for the website. Let us try to download directly. Yeah, it is asking for the sign up. Here we have to fill all the details: first name, last name, email, password, and other all those fields. And I have already created my account. I'm logging in now. Yeah, see, after clicking the download button here, we'll get this window. Here we can see the download options for different operating systems, for Windows, for Linux, and for Mac. And These are the different versions for the different operating systems which we can download. Here we are downloading for Windows, which is similar for Linux and Mac. And here we can also see another option which says download the GNS3 VM. Well, VM stands for virtual machine, and this is usually downloaded uh, for the additional features and additional usages to integrate extra software applications like for firewalls and all. So what is the difference between this download and this download? As I said, this download bypasses, okay, downloading this GNS3 VM requires a virtual box like VMware or VM software or something like that. Downloading here, it bypasses all these efforts and it only simply runs the topologies and networks, virtual topologies and networks in GNS3 like a real world. And as I said, downloading this and working on it is done for more advanced technologies and to integrate extra software. So we are now downloading this version here. I'm clicking download. So it says thank you for downloading and it is getting downloaded here. The size is 50 MB. .exe file of GNS3 software is getting downloaded. I stop the recorder here, download to get the software download. So now software is downloaded. Now I'm opening the software. Yes, click next, and you have to accept for the terms of the agreement. And I click I agree. Yes, the folder name should be GNS3. Well, here we see number of softwares along with GNS3, WinPcap, Wireshark, SolarWind Response, Dynamics, Kimu, VPCS and all. It is good actually. GNS3 comes with a bundle of software and each software does a unique functionality. And let us go through all each and every software of this bundle. First is WinPcap 4.1.3. Okay, basically WinPcap, it is a driver which allows applications to capture and transmit network packets which are bypassing the protocol stack, and it also has other additional features also. I'm uh, okay. Consider a network where your laptop also is connected. Uh, we know each and every node within the network will be communicating with the messages, and our laptop, which is connected with the external network, rejects all the messages or packets which are not required by the laptop. It only receives the messages which are required by the laptop. And what this WinPcap software will be doing is it tells the laptop it has to receive all the packets that are passing within the network so that all the packets received can be analyzed using some other softwares like Wireshark and all. So that is the work of WinPcap. So the next is Wireshark. We can we can tick or include or exclude all these softwares using this marker. Basically, we have to include all these softwares which come along with GNS3. Well, Wireshark 2.2. Wireshark is a network sniffer software. It is a packet capturing tool which captures different packets within the network so that we can analyze as per the requirements. And solar wind response is Another high level tool, it works with hand in hand with Wireshark. Uh, the major work of SolarWind response is it categorizes and classifies different packets within the network. Compared to Wireshark, it is very confusing to differentiate different packets within the Wireshark when Wireshark receives different packets from the network. But in the case of SolarWind response, it is easy to differentiate different packets within the network. And Dynamics, as we know, it is a software which helps us to run GNS3 just like another software within a computer or a laptop. It is a, we know Dynamics, it is an emulator software and or a emulator engine which emulates. The next is QMove. It is a QMove is a quick emulator, and VPCS is a virtual PC simulator, and CPU limit, it's a simple computer program which attempts to limit the CPU usage of a process. And GNS3, we know GNS3, it is a software which we require. And another is tight VNC Weaver, which helps us to remotely access the software. So these are all the bundle of softwares which we get along with the GNS3. So I'm clicking next. If we already have some of the softwares which are presented here, we can uh, skip the installation of these software. I will be showing how. So this is the destination folder. Click install. See, in my laptop I have already installed my WinPcap. In this case it shows the error message. WinPcap is already installed on this machine. If not, you have to install it. Otherwise, you have to cancel the installation or you can force the installation. In the same way, Wireshark also installed in my system, so I'm going to cancel and I'm saving the time. So no, Solar Wind Response also is installed, so I'm canceling that one also. So now it installs the remaining packages and continues the installation. It usually doesn't take much time to get installed. Yeah. Now the installation is completed. You can click next. So it asks, would you like to get your free license of SolarWind standard toolset for worth of $200? It is a good offer according to me. You can click yes, but I'm clicking here no because I don't need it. So I don't want to start now. So clicking finish, the installation of the GNS3 just completes. It says the gratitude for downloading. Thank you for installing GNS3. So that is the end of the part 2, downloading and installation of GNS3. So now let us start with our next step, which is description of tool and example. So I'm opening GNS3 now. Okay. After clicking finish, it asks for the server to select. It says local GNS3 VM and local server. As I explained before, GNS3 VM stands for virtual machine, which is used for extra usages and other functionalities. We are doing it for local server now. So I'm clicking next. So now it asks for adding virtual machine. So after selecting that, we have to insert an iOS image for an iOS router, which is supported by Dynamics. So this is what we have discussed about. All the routers released by Cisco can be imported from Cisco images into the GNS3 so that we can work like a real topology. So I'm selecting add an iOS router using a real iOS image and next clicking finish. Now previously I have already imported one iOS image, so it is remembering that iOS image, but for the new fresher you have to click for new image and we have to browse for the downloaded Cisco iOS image. So I have saved my Cisco iOS image in GNS3 folder images under iOS folder. So I'm selecting Cisco C3725 image. I'm clicking it open. Yeah, now this is the path for the image and the name of the image. So I'm clicking next now. So this is the name and platform, and there is an option called Ether Switch Router. Clicking this option enables the router to also work as Ether Switch Router, which can be clicked as per the requirement of the user. So I'm not clicking here now, I'm just clicking next now. So this is what we spoke about while speaking about the memory considerations. Here by default it says 128 MB, but according to what we saw the Cisco feature navigation, this router requires 256 MB. So we have to give appropriate memory here by editing the default RAM. If we do not do so, sometimes the router may hang or it may not even start also. So I'm clicking next. Yeah, now comes the network adapters. We can here select the different network adapters or interfaces for the router. You can select any number of interfaces and it doesn't affect the working of the router. I'm clicking next, and these are the WSC models. I'm selecting interfaces. These are all the interfaces for the routers. I'm clicking next. Okay, we need to discuss a little about idle PC here. So we all know that Cisco iOS software will be having thousands of lines. Uh, it every lines of code cannot be included with Cisco iOS image, unlike for a VM box, which where it can be included everywhere. And there within those lines of code there will be some lines of codes which indicates the process to go to sleep whenever the process is waiting for some trigger or something, so that it doesn't uses the cycles of the processor. So for this iOS image within the local server, it is difficult to implement all the lines of codes. So what this idle PC finder does is it finds the lines of codes in the Cisco iOS software which allows it to go to sleep whenever it is waiting for some trigger. So this is the work of idle PC finder. So yeah, now it says idle PC value has been found suitable for your iOS image. Okay, this is the idle PC value which enables us to locate the lines of code which is required for a router to go to a sleep. I'm clicking finish. Yes. Here we get all the details of the router, general memory and disk, and also the RAM which we have allocated and adapter slots and WSCs. So we can create new router also using new iOS image, or even we can edit the C3725 which we did before, this adapters and WSCs, and also the memories and disks where we can edit the memory here. So now we go ahead and click OK, apply and then OK. So now we know that we have successfully imported the Cisco iOS image. Okay, uh, before working with GNS3 we have to create a new project. So it is asking creation of a new project. Here we have to give a name. This is the location under which the project gets saved. And we can create a new project here, or else we can open an existing project also. This is the location where I have previously done my project, so it is showing the test one. I'm not opening it right now. Now we also know that we have successfully imported Cisco iOS image. Uh, we can see this under edit option, preferences, under dynamics iOS routers. So this is what we have imported, C3725, and here we can also add new routers and even edit the existing router. Before starting a project, I want to speak about what is a project and other terminologies of GNS3. So I want to show you how the project looks like. Previously, I have created a project, and these projects which will be created are located in the path users. Lenovo is the username of a PC, and there GNS3 and projects. So here I have previously created a project called test1, which is visible here. I'm clicking it. So here we can see project files, screenshot, and test1. Screenshot, yeah, screenshot. It is a screenshot of a final workspace which will be created after saving the project. So this is the topology I have created previously. So it shows the topology and projects files. It includes all the files that are required for the project, and the ghost file which has a number of 131 MB, and these config files. Okay, what are these config files? Each time the router starts up or it writes into the memory, these config files are created, and we can see using the editor. I'm opening it using the editor. Yeah, this indicates the state of the router. I have used the router as we have seen in the screenshot. I have used two routers there. So this is the state of one of the router, which was the last state before exiting from the project. This indicates the final state of the router. Yeah. And this test one is the application. In the same way, we can also see the description or the state of the project, which shows all the nodes and the state of different devices and ports. So that is about the project, how it is saved, and the location where it is saved. Now let us go ahead and create a project now. New project. To create a project, go to File. There is a menu here for all the tools: File, Edit, View, Control, Device. We go to File, New Blank Project, and we have to give a name. I'll be giving as an example, and this is the location where the project gets saved, and then click OK. Okay. Now the project has been created. Under this project, all the works we have been creating will be saved, and even we can see here we can open project and save the project. Does save the project, saves the project, and we can also change the location and many other options. And we have also other options just as like some other softwares. Now let us learn a little bit about GNS3 tool. What are these symbols refer to, and what are these regions in GNS3 tool and all. So from here I'll be combining several things at once. I'll be going to slowly build a lab or an example at the same time. Let us learn about the tool, what are the various icons, areas, and toolbars are, etc. and all. To start with, the region what we are seeing now, this is called a workspace. The workspace. This is where we create the topologies. We put routers, switches, and other devices, and we connect them, and also we create the networks and emulate them. Now, the next thing what we are seeing is a toolbar, a device toolbar, which is on the left, and all these are the nodes that can be included in the network which we will be building. And we can select various devices from here, and these devices may depend on different things like which iOS images we have imported, and all, etc. And let us check one by one. First one is a browse routers. Now here we see C3725 which we have imported previously while before starting the project, and we need to have minimum one router in here. We know how to import the image, we have already seen it, and uh, to include the device in our project we can just drag and drop the device into the workspace. Yeah, like that. Let us see about all these other windows later. And to drag and drop the multiple devices at a time, we can just drag it, hold shift, and then leave the cursor. Then we can enter the number of devices we need and then click OK. Yeah. Now we have got other two devices also. The next tool is switches. By default, it is giving for switches ATM switch, Ethernet hub, Ethernet switch, and frame relay switch. We can use any switch as required. And next one is the end devices. We have VPCs, host, and cloud. VPCs is different from host. These both are different, but host and clouds are somewhat same. And the next tool we have is security device. Currently, we don't have any security devices. Based on the requirement of the user, we can download and install the security devices. And the next symbol we have here is, yeah, it indicates all the devices we have right now in our project. And the next tool is used to connect between the routers or connect between two any devices like that. We can see plus mark here, which is used to connect between two devices like that. And after unlinking it, we can get back the cursor. Next, let us see about this part, topology summary. Here it lists all the devices we have been working in our project. These colors with the device names indicate different state of the devices. It can be three colors, red, green, and sometimes yellow. When the device is working, it shows green, and when it shows red, it means the device has stopped. Usually yellow shows a transitory situation, if there is some error or something like that. And let us see, by starting R2, let us see if the color of the R2 changes or not. By clicking start, yeah, now the color has been changed from red to green, which indicates R2 is working right now. Now I'm again stopping this. Now again it has turned from green to red. These names of the devices, by default it will be giving some name, and we can change the name by clicking on it and writing our name. Let us write router 2. Yeah. Now we can see the name has been changed, but we can't change the name while the device is running. Let us check that. Let us start R1. Now R1 has been started, and let us try to change the name of the R1. Let us name it router 1, and let us see if it changes the name or not. Yeah. See here, now we have got the error saying it is unable to rename VM instance R1. So we can see here we can't rename a router when the router is running. Now this window what we see here, it is a console window for GNS3. It can be used to interact with GNS3 tool and to read the messages and errors displayed by GNS3. And this console is different from console of the devices, which we shouldn't get confused, because console of a device is the one which we will be writing the commands in, and we'll be using the console to configure the device. It's different from this console, and we hardly use this console unless we have some errors in the tool or something like that. And to show the console of a device, let us start R2, which is router 2, and double click on it. So this is the console of router 2. There we can write the commands for router 2. Yeah, like that. So the console for devices is different from this console for GNS3. Another thing I want to show is we have seen what is workspace and what is console and the device tools and topology summary. Now let us see about server summary. This is used to tell you how much of your current CPU and memory is being consumed by GNS3. This shows currently 33.7% of my CPU is being consumed and 51.4% of my RAM is being consumed. And you can see here 51.4% of RAM is pretty much for a G only for GNS3. Actually, what RAM reading showing here 51.3%. This includes all the applications which are running in my laptop. It doesn't only include GNS3, it includes all the other applications and softwares which I'll be running on my laptop. Now let us look about the topology here. Here we are considering a very simple network topology having three routers R1, R2 and R3 connected with those links to each other. And we know how to bring them to workspace just by just by drag and drop, and we can drop any number of devices as we require for the project, and each devices will be having different features based on the type of the device. We can see it by right clicking. We can see here different types of features that can be allowed for this router: configure, change host name, console, capture, and start, stop, and else. To start, stop, and some other features. And these features will be different for a switch or a VPC. Uh, we have already seen how to start a device and how to stop a device. We can just right click and we can click start here. Yeah, now it has been started. Uh, since in this simple topology we have only three devices, what if we have plenty number of devices? In that case, we can click only this button right here, which starts each and every devices. See, now all the three routers have been started. Okay. Now in the same way, we can stop all the routers at once by clicking here. There are some other tools also which can be used here, like reload all devices, add a note. Using add a note, we can write any text here, like network 1, and using these features here, we can insert a picture, and we can draw a rectangle, circle, or an ellipse just by clicking and clicking here. We can see uh, we can see a rectangle here. We can drag it just like a power point as much as we need. Yeah. Now we see the rectangle has been come upon the topology. We can imagine it as a layers, different layers. On the first layer, we have a uh, rectangle below which our topology has been covered. We can change the layers by right clicking on the triangle and lower one layer. Now we can see the topology has been come up. In the same way, we can also use ellipse. These rectangle and ellipse are used basically to categorize some nodes in the network and all. And again, we have some other features like zoom in, zoom out, and we can even take a screenshot of the topology or a project what we have been working in, and we can save the screenshot. Yeah, like this. We can save the screenshot without even saving the project. One more thing I want to tell is uh, all these routers have been connected with different links through their interfaces, but we don't know which interface of the router has been connected with interface of the other router. To see the interfaces of the routers, we can just click on this button. See, now we can see which interfaces of the routers are connected with other routers. We can drag and rearrange these names. We also have other features like opening a new blank project, open project, and save project. And that is about the description of the tool. Uh, Now, as a simple example, let us work on this topology. Let us start the topology, and as I said, we can right click here and open the console to configure the routers and all, or we can directly click here, which opens the consoles of all the three routers at once, like that. These are the names of the consoles: router 2, R3, and R1. I'm closing the console. Another method is just double clicking the router. Now, for this example, let us configure R1 and R3 for the interfaces F01 and F00 of R3. To open the console, double click on R3. Now, enable. We can write the commands here, and in case we don't know the commands, we can just click question mark there, and we can get the help here. Now, to configure the router, by clicking tab, it autofills the command configure terminal. Now, for the interface F0/0 of R3, let us put the IP address of 10.0.0.1 with the mask 255.255.255.0. Yes. Now IP address has been assigned to the router. Now no shutdown means it keeps the link up. Okay. That is for R3. We can do same for the R1 for the interface F01 of R1. Configuring terminal for the interface F01 of R1 which is connected to R3. Their IP address 10.0.0.2 255.255.255.0 for the mask. Now IP address has been assigned to R1. Here also I am keeping the link up by giving no shutdown. Yeah. Now let us try to ping from R1 to R3. We know the IP address of R3 is 10.0.0.1. Yes. Now we see the success rate is 100%. So our topology is working. and closing the console. In the same way, other topologies can be created and the required network can be emulated. So, so that is about the example and description of the tool. It seems we have reached the end of the video. So that is all about GNS3. Thank you for watching.